All right. Today we're diving into something that might shock you. It might even scare you a little bit, but hey, that's what we do here, right? We face the hard truths so that we can conquer them head on. Now, let me hit you with a statistic that's going to make you sit up and pay attention. Did you know that 20% of all new business owners, all new businesses, they fail within the first year? That's right, 1 in 5 doesn't even make it to their first anniversary. But hold on to your seat, it gets worse than that. Because by year 5, that number skyrockets to 50%, meaning half. Half of all new businesses, they're gone, just like that. Now, you might be thinking, Gary, why are you hitting us with these depressing stats? I thought your channel was about motivation and success. Well, let me tell you why. Because today we're going to make sure that you're not part of that statistic. We're going to dive deep into what sinks businesses and the mistakes they make. And I'm going to show you how to avoid those. That said, I've prepared something for you special. It's a powerful tool. It's a guide that you can download that'll help you avoid one of the biggest mistakes that we'll be discussing today. Now, I have a link for you. It's right there in the description below. It's free, so stay tuned because a little later in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use this guide and how it's going to help you, because in business is not without its challenges, is it? In fact, starting a business is a lot like jumping out of a plane. It's exhilarating and it's terrifying. And I can say that because I used to do that for a living with the 82nd Airborne Division. And let me tell you, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to burn in. You're going to go splat. But don't worry, because the intel that we're going to dig into today, that's going to be your parachute. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to jump, how to land safely, and how to successfully navigate the world of entrepreneurship. And hey, if you're new to my channel, this is Startup 3. I'm Gary Smith. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm a business and marketing adjunct professor, and I'm an entrepreneur. So let's talk about the 4 common mistakes that can turn eager entrepreneurs into cautionary tales. First up, this is a lack of market research. This is huge, people. You wouldn't jump out of a plane without checking the weather, right? So why would you start a business without understanding your market? But people do it all the time. So let me ask you, do you know what's going on with startups in your industry or funding in your sector, right? What are the obstacles that other business owners are facing who operate in the same niche as you, right? How do you find out? Market research. For example, Inc. magazine just published an article late last week. Startups are chasing money that isn't there. Right, here's another one. This was just published. This was by Axios. U.S. startup funding is up, but the number of deals is down. So that's valuable knowledge to have, even if you're self-funded, because while an increase in funding is usually a good sign, the fact that deals are down, that might indicate a ripple effect, right? That could impact small businesses. So this is what market research looks like. Let's do another one. This was published by Forbes last Friday, and it reads 7 major obstacles small business owners encounter. So take the time to do your research. In fact, to help with that, I've created a powerful tool. It's called the Market Research Matrix. And this guide, it will walk you through exactly how to analyze your market, how to outsmart your competition, and how to position your business for success. So it's the same strategy that I've used for years. And now I share it with entrepreneurs to really identify those hidden opportunities. It's designed to help you crush it within your industry. And the best part about it, it's absolutely free, right? So click the link in the description below. You can download it. You can have your copy. And trust me, this isn't just some fluff piece. It's a game changer that could save you years of trial and error. So it's there for you if you want it. Now, over the years of teaching and coaching, I met a guy, let's call him Bob, right? Bob had a dream. He wanted to open a gourmet popcorn shop. Sounds great, right? Everybody loves popcorn, but Bob, well, he invested most of his life savings into this shop, right? So he got the best kernels. He created amazing flavors, and he designed a beautiful store. But there was one problem, right? He opened it in what was basically a retirement town on the East Coast. Right, so where the average age was over 60, and most people had dentures. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying older folks don't enjoy popcorn. They certainly do. But Bob's target market, the people that he thought would really be lining up, around the block for his jalapeno cheddar popcorn, they physically couldn't enjoy his product. So if Bob had done his market research, he would have known, even just a little bit of research, he would have known. He could have pivoted. Maybe he could have focused on some softer snacks, or at least had more of a variety, right? Or maybe a different location. That might be a good idea. But he didn't. And his business became another statistic. So how do you avoid being Bob? Here's what you do. Number 1, you define your target market, right? Who are they? What's their age range, their income level, their interest? Number 2, understand the needs and their pain points, right? What problem are you solving for them? Number three, study your competition. Who are they? What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? Number four is test your product or service. Start small and then get feedback and iterate. Remember, market research isn't just a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process for the life of your business. The market is always changing. It's always doing different things, and you need to be able to change with it. And if you like what you're learning so far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, because that lets me know to create more content like this. Each week it's designed to really help you navigate those crazy, first few years of entrepreneurship. So let's move on to mistake number two, which is poor financial planning. Now, this is like packing your parachute with holes in it, right? You might make it halfway down. You might do okay, but you're going to still crash. You're going to burn in. It's going to hurt. It's going to be hard. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen this happen, right? Brilliant ideas fail because founders didn't understand cash flow. They get their first big order and they think, hey, I've made it, right? Wrong. The reality hits them, right? Then when they need to pay for things like materials, for labor, for shipping, for a dozen other things before they see a dime of profit. And then suddenly they're out of business before they've even really started. Now, here's a quick tip. Always overestimate what your expenses are going to be and then underestimate your revenue, because it's better to be pleasantly surprised than regretfully broke. And the way you're going to avoid that scenario is by going through these financial planning steps I'm going to share with you. And this is crucial stuff. So I do recommend maybe jotting down some notes, getting the note app on your phone, however you want to do it. But jot down any ideas that really stand out and resonate with you. Number one, create a detailed business plan. I don't mean some homework assignment that you do to please investors. It makes no difference whether you have any investors or not. You might just be self-funded, right? Which is fine. That's what I've usually always done. But this is your roadmap to success. And when I started my most recent business, I spent weeks on my business plan. It forced me to really think, to really get clear about things that I hadn't even considered. For example, let's say that you're opening a coffee shop. These are good examples to use. Your business plan should cover things like your market analysis, right? Who are your competitors? What's your unique angle? Operations. Okay, this is going to be how many staff that you're going to need. What are the hours you're going to have? Under marketing strategy, how will you attract customers? For financial projections, what's your break-even point? In fact, break-even point, this is one area where people often struggle with this. So I'm actually in the process of recording a video currently. It's going to be published next month. That'll delve into the break-even analysis. So how to compute it, how to understand it. And if this is an area of business that maybe you've always wanted to learn, or maybe you just wanted a refresher, right? How do I compute this and figure it so I know exactly what I'm looking at in my business? And this video next month might be for you, because trust me, this process will save you from some nasty surprises down the road. Now, number two, understanding your startup costs. I'm talking about every single penny here. So let's stick with the coffee shop example. What are your obvious costs? Things like your espresso machine, right? Your coffee grinder, your furniture. Less obvious costs could be the health department permits, music licensing fees, point of sale systems. Hidden costs, these are contractor delays, equipment delivery, fees, staff training, things like that. Now, I once met an entrepreneur who forgot to budget for a grease trap. If you've been in the restaurant industry, you know this was a major mistake. This was a $10,000 surprise. It nearly shut him down before he opened up, so don't be that guy. Now, number three, project your cash flow. This is where most people mess up. They think, oh, if I make $1,000 a day, that's 30 grand a month. Wrong. Things are going, you're going to have to account for different things, right? Seasonal fluctuations. You might make $1,500 a day in winter and only $500 in summer. Payment terms is another one. If you invoice your clients, you might not get paid for 30, 60, maybe 90 days. And they might also need a payment plan, maybe 4 to 6 months like Klarna or something like that. The startup period is another one. You might not turn a profit for the first 12 to 18 months. In fact, if you did turn a profit before that time, you'd be the exception, not the rule. And be pessimistic. If you think it'll take 6 months to break even, plan for 12. If you think you're going to make 10 grand a month, plan for 5. After you've been in business for a few years, you'll have a more accurate picture of your cash flow. But at the start, you need to plan for the worst, but execute with the best in mind. Now, number 4, have a contingency fund, or what I like to call a crisis account, because things will go wrong. I guarantee it. Your coffee machine will break. You'll have a pipe that bursts. A pandemic could hit. You'll have a slow month or two. So be prepared. And by prepared, I mean you need to have at least 3 to 6 months of operating income, and that's on top of your startup costs. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but it could be the difference between success and failure. Now, Amazon, we were all familiar with this company. It didn't become profitable until the fourth quarter of 2001. So that's 7 years after Bezos founded the company. But they survived because they had the funds to weather the storm. Now, number 5, understand your pricing strategy. Now, this is where a lot of entrepreneurs, they get stuck, right? They look at their competitors and they think, well, they charge $4 for a latte, so I will too. Big mistake. Now, while it's true that the market really sets the price to a certain extent, and no one's going to pay, $11 or $12 for a cup of coffee, maybe if you're in an airport, but otherwise, no. So you need to take into account, what are your costs, right? So let's kind of break that down. If your cost is $2, let's say, to make a latte, including labor, rent, etc., and you charge $4, your profit margin is 50%. Is that enough to cover what you need, right? Consider your positioning. If you're using premium beans and offering a luxury experience, maybe you should charge $6. Think about volume. We did a lot of this in the car business. Can you charge less, but make up for it in volume? Or would you rather have higher prices, but fewer customers, right? So these are all things you have to kind of weigh. Now, remember, you're not just selling coffee, right? You're selling intangibles such as things like the experience, right? The convenience, the status. So price that accordingly. Now, here's a real world example. When Starbucks, when they first entered the market, they charged premium prices for coffee. Everyone thought they were crazy, but they weren't, right? Because they weren't just selling coffee. They were selling a premium experience, a third place really between home and work. And like them or hate them, that's an effective company. Now, the bottom line is this: financial planning, it isn't something that's super exciting, but it is essential. Right? It's the difference between the 50% of businesses that survive past those 5 years and the 50% that just go away and you never hear about them again. So you've got to decide what group you want to be in, right? Plan meticulously for the worst, and you'll be ready to handle whatever the business world throws at you. And take note, right? Profit is not the same as revenue, right? So you can be bringing in millions of dollars and still be losing money if your costs are out of control. Now, let's move on to something that might ruffle a few feathers, and I'm okay with that. I'm referring to the lack of marketing mentality. Newsflash, they won't come unless you make them. And that's why marketing isn't just important, it's everything. Because you can have the best product, the best service in the world, but if nobody knows about it, if no one knows you exist, you're just another garage inventor. And I've seen so many entrepreneurs pour their heart, their soul into creating an amazing product or this incredible service, only to launch and hear crickets. Why? Because they thought the product or the service would sell itself, when in reality, attention is the most valuable currency that there is, because you're not just competing with other businesses that do what you do. You're competing with Netflix and TikTok and Instagram and a million other things that are all vying for the attention of your customers. So let's dive deep into some marketing strategies they're both easy to implement and will also really put you on the path to entrepreneurial success. Number 1 is to know your unique selling proposition, your USP. Now, this is your secret sauce. It's what really makes you stand out in a crowded market. So let me give you an example. When Dollar Shave Club launched, the shaving market was dominated then by Gillette. But what did the Dollar Shave Club do? Right? They didn't just sell razors. They sold convenience and they sold humor. Their USP was great razors delivered to your door for a few bucks a month. And they communicated this with hilarious viral videos. These were made by the CEO and they had a lot of fun with them. The result was in 2016, they sold for $1 billion to Unilever. So we use case studies like this as your example, right? What's your Dollar Shave Club angle, right? Are you cheaper? Are you faster? Are you more luxurious? Are you more ethical, right? Figure that out and then hammer that home in all of your marketing. Now, number 2, identify where your customers hang out, right? This is crucial and it's oftentimes overlooked, but think about it. You wouldn't try to sell dentures on TikTok, right? Hopefully you're saying no. Know your audience, right? If you're selling, high-end B2B software, LinkedIn is probably your gold mine. But if you're launching a new energy drink for, let's say, college students, right, you better be on TikTok. And I would also say on Instagram. For example, here's another one, Warby Parker, right? This was the eyewear company. They quickly figured out that their audience was on Instagram. So they invested heavily in IG marketing. They were really encouraging customers to take pictures, to share photos of themselves, trying their glasses on at home. So this was a huge success, which nobody thought it would be at the time either. Number 3, create valuable content. Here's a hard truth. not to be insensitive, but nobody cares about your product. They care about what your product can do for them. So stop talking about features and start talking about the benefits. I mean, look at what we do here on Startup 3. Do I just tell you to be an entrepreneur? No. I give you some strategies, right? I tell you some stories. I share some news articles with you, some case studies. I try to educate and really engage with you so that you see the benefits of entrepreneurship. Here's another one. Take Glossier, the beauty brand. They don't just post about their products, right? They share skincare tips. They do makeup tutorials, behind the scenes content. They're not just selling makeup, right? They're selling a beauty savvy lifestyle. So think about that when you're creating content, right? Your content should be so good that even if you weren't selling anything, people would still want to get it. Now, number 4, build relationships. Now, business is all about relationships, full stop. You need to engage with your audience like they're your friends, not your customers. So look at how Wendy's does it. If you've seen some of those ads, you might see them on Twitter or X. They don't just post ads, right? They roast competitors. They tell jokes. They poke fun at people. Sometimes even showing them do homework. These commercials they're hilarious. They're engaging, and people love them, right? And so the response is there. But some easy action steps that you can take to really move the needle are simple things like responding to comments, asking for feedback, creating inside jokes. Make your customers feel like they're part of your brand's journey. Number 5, be consistent, right? This is where most people fall off. They start strong, right? They're posting every single day. They're engaging all the time. And then life happens. It gets in the way. The process becomes mundane, or they get bored. And then suddenly they haven't posted in 3 weeks. Marketing is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You need to show up every single day, right? It's like working out. You're not going to see results after one gym session, but go every day for a year, you'll be unrecognizable. Now, one way to create consistency in your marketing is to create a content plan, right? Plan your posts in advance. Use some scheduling tools if you need to, but whatever you do, stay consistent. I mean, think about it. Nike, they didn't become Nike overnight. They've been telling us just do it for decades. Apple, another one, right? Apple didn't become Apple with one think different ad. They've been hammering that message home for years. So find your message, find your people, and then show up for them day after day after day. That's how you market. That's how you cut through all the noise. That's how you build a brand that actually lasts. Now, we've covered a lot of ground here. I realize that, but we're not done. I want to give you one more thing here. We're just about to dive into the mistake that trumps all other mistakes. It's the one that can make or break your business, which is failing to adapt. It's the most common because most people don't understand the environment they're about to enter. The business world it's like a raging river, right? You can't just build a boat and expect some smooth sailing the rest of the way. You need to be constantly adjusting, constantly pivoting, iterating. So let me tell you a story. Now, if you're old enough to remember Blockbuster. Now, Blockbuster was like the behemoth of video rental companies. At their peak, they had over 9,000 stores, and they were valued at $5 billion. They were the undisputed king of movie rentals. But here's the kicker. They had the chance, get this, they had the chance to buy Netflix for $50 million back in 2000, but Blockbuster thought, why change? We're good. They thought they were fine. Netflix was a niche market in their mind, and they couldn't imagine a world where people would rather stream than go to a physical store. So we all know how that story ended, right? Don't be a Blockbuster. Now I realize that's easier said than done, right? Hindsight is always 20/20. It's easy to look back and find mistakes, but here are 5 action steps that you can implement. It's not a crystal ball, but they will give you an advantage and they'll help you stay adaptable. Number 1 is to stay curious. Always learn new technologies, new market trends, and new customer behaviors. Number 2 is to listen to your customers. They'll tell you how their needs are changing. Number 3, don't get too attached to your original idea. Be willing to pivot if the market demands it. And number 4, create a culture of innovation in your company. Encourage new ideas from everyone, not just the leadership. And then number 5, test and iterate. Don't be afraid to try new things and try them on a small scale if you need to, because the only constant in business is change. And the companies that survive, that thrive, they're the ones that really embrace this reality. Now, to recap these quickly, to avoid becoming another failed business statistic, number 1, do your market research, right? Know who you're selling to and know what they want. Number 2, plan your finances meticulously. Hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Number 3, market like your business depends on it, because it does. And then number 4, be ready to adapt. The world is changing faster than ever, and your business needs to be able to keep up. Remember, entrepreneurship, it's not just about having a great idea. A lot of people have great ideas. It's about execution. It's about perseverance and the ability to learn from your mistakes. Now, if you want to learn more about how to launch, grow, and thrive during those first few years of your business, just click or swipe the screen to watch this next video.